Not much. I've been playing more Forza a lot on PC. I have to lock it at 30, but it stays at 30. Every once in a while, it starts stuttering a little bit, like it's loading in stuff or something like that. But it's okay at 30. It crashes sometimes. That game's still really fucked up though. So I discovered some stuff after I complained about it last week. I discovered some more baffling things about that game. The controller support. I'm trying to use an Xbox One player to play this Xbox One game. And first of all, you can't bind, you can't rebind the buttons on the controller. You have to choose from presets, which, what?
No, it took my mic off for some reason.
Oh, well,
Well,
nobody
that
needs to hear you
sucks. Well, you
anyway.
suck. They
Uh,
missed my whole bit where I didn't need to
there was a
say
bit.
anything. There wasn't a bit. I was just
There wasn't a
introducing you.
bit. It was actually probably the most boring introduction we've ever had. So the fact that your mic was
It's more boring when you
usually
scream
you've
every
got a cool
time,
bit
and
or
by
something.
you I mean I, as in me.
All
So
right.
Skippy, keep talking about Forza.
As I was saying, the controller binds are presets, which I haven't seen PC games, especially like a AAA game, do that in a long time. Where like usually it just lets you bind it if you want. And so you have to choose between these presets. None of them are what I want. And then I discovered, the last few presets are specifically for binding your own buttons. They're just blank presets, and you can go through and bind them, but not the other ones for some reason. But the thing is, the the presets that you can bind have a lot of the options are required. You have to bind a button to those options,
What
or
do you
else you
mean?
can't save the preset.
Like,
So like you go to shift up and it's a required bind. So you have to bind it to a button. You can't leave it blank.
so you have
Uh,
to be able to manually shift the gear up.
well, I mean, you can choose an automatic gear shift. I'm just using that as an example. Like
Okay,
a
all right.
brake or anything like that has a required bind. For some reason, so on the other presets, there's more options than there are binds because they use up all the buttons on the controller and everything. And then there's stuff like use map and various like optional things that aren't really required that they'll leave blank on those presets. Well, in this, those are required, and so there's more required binds than there are buttons on the controller, and that's if you include clicking in the thumbstick and all that shit. Which means you can't use those presets because you can't save them because you don't have enough buttons on your controller to actually fulfill the requirement that they're trying to make you. It's I don't know how
I
you
don't
can
get
fuck up that badly.
how decisions like that are made. I
I
mean, why
know.
not just let a controller layout be busted if somebody wants it to be busted?
I mean, last week I was telling you about the volume control where one is like 80% of the volume. Who made that? Someone made that decision, right? Like that's a decision. And then the music volume doesn't go down to zero. So you have to listen to music or manually switch your radio off. Someone made that decision.
What I noticed, and this is kind of jumping the gun a little bit on the Halo 5, because I got lots to say about Halo 5,
Oh, okay.
but I quitting the game is not like quitting any other game. You can't. There's no exit button in the menus.
Oh, really?
Escape. Yeah, the way you leave the game is you move your mouse to the top of the screen, and then like an actual Windows
Yeah,
bar will appear. It is an app. It
it's an
feels
app.
exactly like an app, which is so strange because it's like a full-featured game, kind of.
Well, have
But
you ever used like the Windows PDF back in Windows 8? Did you ever have to use Windows 8? You
I
were
was on
unfortunate
it for
enough.
a little bit, but
There were a
pretty
couple computers
quickly
at
got
work.
that classic show thing that made it
There
like Windows
um
7.
there were a couple computers at work that had Windows 8 on them, and every once in a while, I'd get stuck in an app. The worst
Yeah.
one was the PDF viewer. It would go full screen. You try to pull up a PDF, and it would go full screen, and that bar at the top wouldn't even show up. And like there's like two buttons, and there's nothing you can do. And so like you have to drag your mouse
Yeah.
into the corner so that something will pop up or something like that. It's the least intuitive thing in the world. I don't understand it, but at least Forza lets you quit out, and you can just Alt F4 too. Um,
But
but
yeah.
but those particular options are really baffling, and so I've had to learn. Like I do use the manual gear shift, and I'm used to Dirt Rally, which is A and X, but they don't have that option. So oh well. I, I don't get it. I don't get how they. So you're right. Someone had to make those decisions. The fact that someone made those decisions is so baffling to me. And I really hope they patch that game, not just to fix that shit, but to fix the performance and all that. And then there's some other decisions made about the game where it's kind of like this feels like something that testing should have figured out. There's drifting zones, and I'm not a big drifting fan. I don't really get drifting, but I want to get 3 out of 3 stars on all these drifting zones, these optional little things, just because there's something to do and I want to do them. Uh, and it's really frustrating because they're on public roads, which means cars are just driving around on
Like
the drifting
AI.
zones. Yes, and also AI drivatars are racing around. Sometimes they're trying to drift around,
So you
and
can't just chill out and drift for a little bit. You have to be
you have to
bumping into.
dodge those cars. You have to
Okay.
wait for like your window of opportunity to go, but you can't see the whole zone. You don't know if there's someone coming up. You'll be halfway through and you'll have a really good session going, and then all of a sudden there's a drivatar coming at 100 miles an hour in the opposite direction, and he's right on the apex of the corner where you need to go, and there's nothing you can do. And it has a rewind option. But if they're, if everything lines up perfectly where there's nothing you can do, then rewinding doesn't do any good. So it's just you're just fucked. And it's like, why not give you an option or something to make it like so that there's no collision in those zones or something. So it's not like 80% of the time I fuck them up, it's because I'm hitting a car. It sucks. And I can't imagine that that's a unique problem to me that the testers must have experienced that, right? Like that must have been a really frustrating thing that they said this doesn't seem necessary. I don't know. That's still a fantastic game. Like, don't get me wrong. It's an awesome driving game. I've been playing a ton of it. It's perfect for. It's a podcast game. Put on a podcast or put on a long video that you want to watch but not pay full attention to. It's perfect for that. You could do it for hours and hours, and I have already. So that's it. That's all I've played.
Now, and I don't know why this is happening to me, but is it like a full-featured game? Is there an identical version of Forza 3 Horizon for Xbox One? Is it the same?
It's literally the same game to the point where you can cross save.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing Halo 5 Forge on
Yes.
PC. And that is not equivalent. It is just the Forge mode and the Forge multiplayer, which is really strange because it works extremely well. It seems like they could have made the full multiplayer be on PC, but they just elected not to because they didn't want to cannibalize themselves or whatever went into that choice. But it's really cool. It's way cooler than I thought it would be. For kind of comparison's sake, I played Halo Online for the first time before starting up Halo 5 Forge. So Halo Online is that, we talked about it before on the podcast, it's that Halo 3 port that was like officially licensed, I think, but for Russia, and it was kind of like outsourced development, and they added sprinting to Halo 3's multiplayer and just a bunch of dumb stuff, but it worked and it was pretty cool. And so had some fun with that, but every server is just hopelessly laggy and fills up within 20 seconds. I'm not even going to make an attempt to stop yawning anymore. It's not going to happen.
Is that what you were doing? You were yawning? I thought you were just yelling like a retard.
No. No, I wasn't doing that. Anyway. So it's cool, but it's very janky, the Halo Online. Halo 5 is a crisp, finished product. Like, it works. Everything about it works amazing. There's a really in-depth search system for all kinds of custom maps, and it's so satisfying mechanically. It works. The guns feel great. One thing that was having us cracking up is that the death animations are just over the top brutal.
You mean like the executions and
stuff?
No,
not even the executions. Just whenever you die. So when you just die and get shot, it sounds like every bone in your body is like breaking at the same time, and your character goes, "Oh!" and you just, it's amazing. It's so goofy.
In college, sophomore year, I guess it was shortly after Halo Reach came out. Some people offered me some weed at their apartment,
Dugan Jaman.
and I took them up on the offer, and they started playing Reach, and I was too high to play. I didn't want to play, but I was blown away by how violent the executions were. Like
Yeah,
you would do
those are
stuff
still
like
there.
you would jump on the back of someone and stab them in the top of the head, and I was like, "Oh my god! I never realized how violent this was." And yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
that's the
escalated it
time I got
further.
high.
Well, good story. So all the classic maps that you love from Halo are playable because people have just remade them in Forge.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, this is something I did not notice or not notice, I guess, but wasn't expecting. Because the last Forge game I played was Reach, and that was
Yeah.
still essentially dragging boxes around and just very limited kind of prefab stuff. This is a fully fledged map editor where
Yeah.
people make completely custom areas like water parks and a bank and just all kinds of cool places. This one map, it was crazy. It was this metallic series of tubes and ramps that were in the air, and you drive warthogs through it, and so you actually spiral on top of these loop-de-loops, and it's really awesome what they managed to do.
How smooth is the experience of like getting into these custom maps? Like how long is the
Nearly
download and
instant.
stuff? That's
It's
cool.
so quick. It's real quick. And I have not run into any hitches at all. Like performance-wise, anything. All of it is spot on, runs really well. It's a lot of fun.
I
So,
need to download that.
yeah, you really should. You really should. That's actually why I wanted to do this earlier tonight, is because I wanted to play
I
Forge
don't know
later.
if I'll be able to download it in time.
It's
but
pretty
we'll
big.
see.
It's a pretty big file. But we should play it sometime because it's so much fun. So you got your old classic maps, and they managed to make them look almost identical. Some of the texture work isn't quite there because it's just kind of cobbled together, but it's the same maps, exactly
Yeah.
the same layouts, exactly the same item placements and pickups, all of it. And so yeah, like we were playing on Ascension and High Ground, all those maps that were like iconic Halo maps, and you just get to play the good ones. You don't have to sit through playlists of crap. Um, but there are
cool.
also some new favorites, and a couple of my new favorite maps is Nuketown. Somebody just made
Oh.
Nuketown,
Yeah.
and it's funny because Halo 5, the multiplayer, has
What
all
is
those.
it about Nuketown that has become so
I
iconic
don't
in
know.
multiplayer
it's,
shooters?
It's so
It
funny
doesn't
though.
seem like a great map. It's just kind of a couple houses and a bus.
It's very basic. It's I guess the concept is appealing of just kind of tearing around a neighborhood and shooting each other.
I guess.
But the real joy of that map is how stupidly they I mean that in a good way. They went to stupid lengths to recreate it. So
Oh, sure.
instead of mannequins, they have like elites who are just like motionless around the map, and some like robots who are holding guns for you to pick up. And there's like an elite cooking a patty on a grill, and it's the like lamest.
You can
3D.
go to that like link?
Yeah, yeah. It's like it reminds me of Gary's mod, honestly.
Wow.
It really is so much fun. And this is my personal favorite map I've ever played in Halo. It's called Toilet. And I'm gonna put a picture of Toilet on screen for the folks at home here. This is Toilet. The map is called Toilet. And we played for the first time. The game actually glitched. Skippy, you'll see it in a second. The game glitched. And so when we load it in, it does that cinematic Spartan pose that they do now in Halo 5, where instead of just loading you into the game, it does like this Slayer, and your like backs up against each other, like, ooh, look at how cool we are. So
Yeah.
you're standing on top of the tank of the toilet here.
I'm seeing toilet.
Yeah, you stand on top of the tank of the toilet, you do your cool pose, and then it glitched for us. And this is what happened. The lid of the toilet, it raised, and then nothing happened. And I thought that was the map. I thought it was just a map where the toilet opens. Turns out, when I went back and revisited it, there was more. Okay? There was a deep complexity underneath where
There's a working
you
toilet.
actually launch yourself into the toilet bowl and fight in a toilet bowl.
Okay.
And you can fall down the drain, too.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's a
This
great
reminds
map.
me of Counter-Strike mods.
Yeah, like Counter-Strike
Uh,
Source, custom servers and everything.
like what was it? DE Rats,
Yep.
where it was a kitchen and you fought through the refrigerator and the shelves and the
It's a lot like that. It is a
yeah,
lot like those maps.
yeah.
Where
That's
or like those toy box maps in Team Fortress 2
yeah,
where you would be really
yeah.
small, and there's got to be ones like that on Forge.
That's harking back to the good old days there. It's
Yeah.
really neat. I doubt Halo would literally be probably, I think, the last franchise I would expect to do something like this. To
And
have
it's
that amount of customization and support it well, and like that's blows my mind.
exactly. And the most surprising thing about this, and I get like Halo's their Xbox thing, but to have this quality and experience on PC and not just to go all the way, it doesn't quite
It's a
make sense to
beta.
me.
What it
I
is it's
guess.
a beta, and they're going to come out with the next Halo, and it'll be a big deal that it's on the PC. It would be less of a big deal if they retroactively had Halo
Okay,
5,
yeah, if they
you know?
ported it out, yeah.
And so it's like, make it a big moment at E3, like,
But this
Halo's coming to the PC, guys.
this is the big moment. This is
I
the
guess.
best
They
Halo
haven't marketed or
experience they have
anything, just
released
it's a
since
beta.
Halo Reach.
But they weren't sure it was going to be this smooth. I assure you that this was like a beta.
It
had
worked
to be.
beautifully,
Yeah,
swimmingly.
good for them.
There's all kinds of great maps and just totally out there maps too. The best part about it is how fully featured the search is. So you can do all kinds of keyword searches and sort it based on the number of likes and downloads and plays. So it really lets you find good maps quickly. I found one that we didn't have a lot of fun because it was like 6 or 7 of us just running around and didn't quite work out. But there's like a survival horror map where it's like these dark series of hallways, and it's meant to be like a custom game mode where I don't know if it was zombies, but something like that, where one person is stalking everyone else, and
Yeah,
it's cool. Like it's so cool.
that is cool.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even tell, you wouldn't be able to tell that it was Forge if the last Forge you were playing was like on Halo 3 or Reach, because
Yeah,
it's
'cause
it's a full
even when
map
this
editor now.
even this when this was coming out, I still thought it was just piecing pieces of, you know, pre-textured,
That's what I
pre-built
thought it was.
things, and which you can do a lot of cool stuff with. But like, this is way beyond. Like, you wouldn't be able to create a toilet that looks like a toilet with a toilet
The,
paper
the
roll
toilet
next
the
to
size of a mountain.
it. Yeah, that's something.
And of course,
Did it have water?
no, it did not have water.
I wonder if you can like. I wonder
Because
if
you
you
have
could
to be able to fight in the drain. That's the
Oh, sure. Yeah.
exactly. But there was a water park map that I played on that did have a pool,
Okay.
and you could go down the slide, and it would shoot you down. It wouldn't be just jankily dropping you down. It actually propels
So
you
they've, like,
along. There's those
got
features
physics
too.
manipulators
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, they do.
Jesus. All right.
It's a damn good game,
Let me just
and
start downloading this like right now.
it's completely free. You just need Windows 10. It's free.
Now you sound like a marketer. How much are they paying you?
Nothing, because it's free.
It's completely free.
100% free. But wow, worth
I'm gonna
every
buy it
penny.
now. I
Worth
can't
every
wait.
penny, I gotta say. Yeah, just loads of fun, and I'm not gonna harp on it forever, but it's just really impressive what they've done with this. They brought back all the different weapons, and in exactly the original forms that they were in. You kind of froze, and I can't hear you, so I don't know if you're still
Oh,
with
really?
us. Yeah, you're
Maybe
just
my
your
download started
webcam.
to scream.
Either way,
Can you?
I can hear you. I can hear you. A little choppy.
Oh wow, I've got a really good freeze picture there too.
Yeah, go to sleep. They preserve the weapons in exactly the original form as Halo 1, 2, 3, if you want it. So there's like 2 separate weapons. There's the battle rifle in Halo 5, which is kind of like a more Call of Duty kind of thing, where it's like, and it's real silenced and tactical and really snappy aim down the sights. But then they have a weapon that's just Halo 2 battle rifle, and you can put that in the map, and it's exactly it's really
That's
awesome.
really surprising.
Really awesome. Halo 1 Magnum they have. You can put that gun in the map.
That's crazy.
The original overpowered pistol. And the settings, too. You can individually tweak every possible variable, like player movement speed and shields, everything. It's so
Of course, that stuff like,
granular.
has always been in Halo.
That's true.
People forget how customizable even Halo 1 was with those settings.
That is true.
Like you
Multiplayer
could
was
set
very
like the
customizable.
percentage of shields you want and the movement speed and like I think even Halo 1's had the stuff where it's like if you kill a player then you can change the parameters of like there's
Oh yeah,
conditional
yeah.
formatting in there where it's like if I kill someone then my shields increase or what it's something stuff like that where it's like to have that amount of customization back then was completely unheard of.
Well, the
But
customization that I was enjoying was the goofy stuff. So on that Nuketown map, I decided, people complain that Halo 5 has turned Halo into Call of Duty.
I mean, yeah,
One, I don't think it was ever that different. It's better, obviously.
take it from
But
me, man. Take it from me. I mean, they didn't turn it into Call of Duty, but they Call of Duty-fied
no,
some
I know,
elements
I
of it.
know. I'm saying it always kind of had that very simple jump in
Oh yeah, 100%.
appeal. It's not like a Counter Strike. It's
No,
but it's better than Call of Duty, I think, to play gameplay wise. I just enjoy it more. Maybe not
yeah,
better. I like it more. Uh, but for the Nuketown map, I decided to make it as much like Call of Duty as possible. So super fast regenerating health, sprinting on all the way, just completely like Call of Duty. Um, and it's really fun. It's really fun to tweak things on that tiny a
yeah.
level and just have the. You need friends. That's the that is the only thing that really holds us back is that there's not like unless I just haven't tried it. I think I've only been playing custom games. Maybe there's some way to search out a lobby, but it's not matchmaking. There's no matchmaking system. It's all Forge, all custom maps, and you need a party really to enjoy it. As you know, but if you can get 5, 6, 7 people, it's a blast.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of the most fun I've had playing a shooter in a while. Um, so
And
cool.
that's
Cool game.
how I mean, for me, Call of Duty was well, Call of Duty was something I played with friends too, but Halo to me has always been less fun by yourself. Like multiplayer, I've just never really gotten into that multiplayer without being with friends anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to sit there and play like a Halo matchmaking sesh late into the night
Yeah.
by myself, trying to power my. What do they call? It's just ranks, right? They don't have Spartan
I
duels or
don't know.
whatever.
I don't know. But yeah, that
Don't lose
I
your Spartan jewels,
back
boys
in
and girls.
my back in my Far Cry Instincts or something on the I think it was the original Xbox. They had a really thorough map editor and that was something where there were few enough people playing it that it had its own little community almost. And so like just a couple servers, like I think they were just hosted by players. And it was a lot of fun to just jump around on those and see what people were up to. The people would make really bizarre stuff um, like really complicated platforming maps and stuff where like you had to get through an obstacle course and if you fell off you had to restart, but then they would have like checkpoints
Yeah,
where
there's
if you
a.
fell off and you had to restart at the checkpoint.
That reminds me. There's a Wipeout map. You know that reality show, game show thing where people are jumping around on
Yeah,
the.
yeah.
Yeah, there's that as a map. And
That
there's
makes
stuff
sense.
swinging around, and it's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, I'm downloading it, which is why. Do I sound weird or
No,
anything?
you sound fine right now.
I'm surprised at how much it killed my internet. It must be downloading really fast.
Mine downloaded so slowly, and I actually got to 30 gigs of 35, and then it cut out. My internet cut out, and for some reason, it made me redo the entire download.
It looks like mine's going like 100th of a gig a second, which would be about what I would expect, which shouldn't be killing my internet, but whatever. Um, all right,
So yeah, that's Halo.
that's
Fun,
Halo.
fun, fun, fun. You need Windows 10 Anniversary Edition to play it. That was not a fun.
You need that for Forza Horizon 3 too. I already
Yeah.
had that, I guess. I don't know what the difference
What's
between the anniversary edition is with. I don't know.
I think they made Cortana better.
They forced you
Uh,
to use Cortana. I know that much because I
really,
remember when I installed it, I said I didn't want to use Cortana and I didn't want them to access all my data and stuff.
you
And
can't
now
turn
it's
that
like,
off.
hey, I'm Cortana.
Yeah, you
And
can.
no, you can't. I think you can. I think I told it not to access my data still, but it forced me to use Cortana.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Huh.
they're just slowly creeping into your life. It's just gonna happen. You gotta embrace your corporate overlords.
Damn.
Yeah, it's dark, dark
Okay.
cast.
Well, I also saw a movie. It was a
What movie
scary
did you
movie.
see?
I saw Don't Breathe.
Oh, I heard good things about that.
I also heard good things about it, which is why I saw it. And everything I heard was true. It was very tense, probably less of a horror movie than like a thriller suspense kind of thing, but the tension is thick all the way through. Just a very, very stressful kind of movie where every scene has some like immediate kind of thrust to it. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, non-stop energy except for the beginning, which is kind of just setting everything up, and everything before they get to the house is forgettable. I mean, you're familiar with the premise, and I imagine everyone else is. But in case these three kids they go to rob a blind guy, and they get more than they bargained for. One of them gets shot. That's in the trailer. That's not a spoiler. And then they're stuck in there with him. He's like an army vet with all kinds of fucked up mental issues, and very cool movie. Tense,
Yeah.
dark. They kind of did a sequel bait thing at the end that I wasn't totally behind, but whatever.
I like the idea of horror movies that just like that's like such a simple premise of just like you're in there with this scary old blind guy who
Yeah,
wants to kill you,
and
and that's
it's
it.
genuinely frightening,
Yeah.
or not frightening. Imposing, I guess, is a better word. Like the blind guy, he's blind, but he's ripped. He's extremely brutal,
Yeah.
and he's like a master with weapons, and but he can't see. And they don't do a daredevil thing with it either, which is nice. He's
Oh,
actually
yeah.
blind. He doesn't have super hearing senses. He has better than average hearing for sure, but it's not one of those cases where oh you went and then he immediately pounces on you and
Yeah.
tears your throat out. It's a lot subtler than that how he uses his blindness. One of the better parts where that comes into play is he's sort of running around in the dark in the cellar, and the two kids, they're completely in the dark, and it kind of goes into this night vision almost kind of thing. Not the green, it's like black and white night vision, like what you would see if you had a night vision camera with an
I think I
infrared
saw that in the
sensor.
trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And not only are there some great close-ups of the blind man's screwed up eyes in that lighting that are honestly great shots, but while they're kind of just completely unable to see 2 inches in front of them, the blind guy, he is familiar with the layout, so he reaches his hand out and brushes it past a fan blade, and then he can feel that, and then he puts
Yeah.
his hand straight up, and then he taps a little rafter on the ceiling, and then so he knows exactly where he is based on touch, and they bring the blindness in a way that's not silly, which was
That's
good.
cool. Yeah. That's really cool. I would like to see that. It's good horror movies are so rare, and I kind of got my hopes up, I guess, a little bit for Blair Witch Project, even though it had a really bad trailer. I was like, oh, well, that trailer was just made by the marketing team, but I heard that
Did
movie's
you?
not very good.
Oh, I was gonna ask if you'd
I
seen
didn't
it.
see it. No, I didn't see it. I heard it wasn't good.
What have you been seeing?
Nothing. I wanted to watch. There's an HBO series that came out that I'm actually trying to avoid information on because I want to see the pilot and just see what it is. But it's like it looks like a western, but then there's also like sci-fi shit. Like I don't know, like it's a fake western, like a VR western or
A
something. I don't
fake
know.
western.
I have no idea, but I'm trying to avoid shit. It looks like it might be interesting. So I was gonna watch that last night, and then I couldn't sign into HBO Go on my parents' account, so they might have canceled HBO, and I'm not paying for HBO.
How
So
much is HBO now?
I don't know. I heard that they were splitting off HBO Go into a standalone thing, but I haven't really looked it up or anything.
Because that so many people would pay for that if it were a relatively Netflix price
Yeah,
affordable thing
they were. I wrote an entire research report on that in college
on
about
HBO
like
Go.
yeah, about how they were trying to find the perfect moment to switch over because right
Oh,
now they're
right.
still living off of the
Premium TV.
contracts that they have with the cable companies. The cable companies are telling them, don't go to the internet because you're an incentive for people to keep cable. And so they're still making a lot of money just on those contracts. But as soon as they think that they're going to make more money by having a standalone version, they're going to switch over. And I think they already did. Um, So, and that was my argument, was like they need to switch over very soon to get ahead of like that's what everyone's going to be doing in the next few years, is switching over all at once. It's going to be a big domino effect. And for some reason, I don't know if they're paid off research or what, but like research keeps saying like, oh well, cord cutting is not as bad as people say it is, but like it's going to be an exponential effect, and it's not going to be this gradual thing that everyone seems to be convincing themselves it's going to be. But whatever.
The
That's
only thing that worries me about that is the money drying up at the creative level.
I don't think so though. I mean, did you see how much shit Netflix is producing?
They make a lot.
They're trying
I'll
to make
admit
like
that.
half of their library Netflix alone.
Yeah,
Netflix stuff, original content.
yeah, and
Uh,
it seems to work pretty well for them. But still, I just kind of I worry about as more competition comes in and people are choosing between like HBO Go and Amazon Instant or whatever they do and Netflix, the prices will compete with one another.
yeah.
And when each person is paying like $10 a month, can you really sustain the level of content you're used to? Is my
Right now, a
question.
lot of of TV shows are like really, really like have a tiny viewership, but they get picked up by some bigger network that's able to kind of sustain them like almost like beyond what they're actually worth, which is it's kind of a neat model because it allows a lot of weird stuff like Lucha Underground to exist. But I think that with how successful we've seen like YouTubers be able to be,
That's
and
true.
like going online and doing your stuff, either self-publishing it or going through someone who's a good online publisher, seems to be working pretty well. And I think what you're going to see is like, oh, I want to subscribe to HBO and FX and AMC because they're making the shows I want to watch, and you're only paying $30 instead of $60 to watch just those channels. I I think it could work. I think a lot of networks, especially like the middle-sized ones, will actually benefit because right now you've got so many millennials coming out of college who don't want to pay for their
Millennials.
fucking cable company,
Yep.
so they're just downloading it. That's huge.
I
So
guess I think it'll work. It's definitely going to work. It's already working. I guess my question is there going to be any belt tightening? Is this going to be a straight up replacement of people just moving to another platform, or is there going to be a material shrinkage in how much money is getting fed into the production of things? Because really, you brought up YouTube. YouTube is still funded in relatively the same way as TV is. It's ads. But these subscription based services are not funded by ads. So
yeah,
it's a
it
different
could be though.
model that, maybe it'll make more per user than, because honestly, if you're just watching ads, you're not chipping in yourself. They
Yeah.
just make the network makes just a little bit from ads
I mean,
that
I
they
know,
sell
Hulu
per
was going
user.
on for a while with you could not pay for Hulu and you could still watch a lot of shit. I don't know. I think they're still doing that,
They
but they've been changing their model a
almost
lot. I don't
entirely
really
killed
understand
it.
it.
It just slowly got worse and worse if you didn't
Yeah.
pay for it. I think, didn't they make you watch ads even if you paid for it? I think they did.
At one point, I know at one
That
point,
is
at least
not,
for like some shows, that's unacceptable. And
yeah.
I think that they probably, I, we're, I wish I knew shit about this. I think that they probably retracted from that really quickly because I remember backlash against that being really, really, really tough. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think people are willing to pay for their shit rather than watch ads. I think
Oh, absolutely.
stuff like
Yeah.
Netflix proves that, and like I pay for a few weird websites and stuff, like $5 a month or less than that even, and like I'm
Giant
totally willing
Bomb,
to pay it.
pay for it.
Yeah, Giant Bomb. I'm still subscribed to Giant Bomb, and I don't even really watch their stuff that often, but it's kind of like I like it when it's there when I have need something to watch while I'm playing Forza.
I subscribed to YouTube Red a while ago. Um, and it's been worth it, I'd say. And you
Really?
know why? None of the exclusive content is any good. It's all PewDiePie doing screaming reality show thing with Markiplier. Who cares about that? The real feature is just being able to pop something on in the car, turn the screen off, You can't do that otherwise.
Yeah,
And also to not have any ads on any device is very nice because it's all tied to your account.
yeah.
And offline videos without having to actually download it and save it somewhere on your phone or whatever or your computer. Um, yeah, it's a simple thing that I'm willing to pay for. It's not changing my life, but it's just a little thing that I'm willing to pay for.
It's kind of bizarre the way they went about the YouTube Red stuff because it's like they added a lot of useful features, but you're not getting content that you couldn't get otherwise. You're just getting
Yeah,
a different way of consuming it.
that's true. And
It's
I guess
weird.
if you're concerned with God, there really is nothing. There are things. This is called hyperbole, folks. There's
Okay.
nothing on this earth worse than people who ask you to turn ad block off. Or worse than
Yeah.
that are the people who demand that you turn ad block off. Like, how dare you watch my content with ad block on? You realize what you're doing to me. You're ruining my life.
Yeah.
But if you know that gets to you, paying for YouTube Red lets you support people without watching ads.
Yeah, I mean, when I get linked to a Forbes article and it tells me I need to disable my ad block just to view it, then I just don't view it.
Yes.
Like not because I specifically want to stop giving them my money. If they had a nice message that I had to X out of that said, hey, we rely on ad money. Could you turn off ad block? It's not our ads aren't obtrusive. Websites do that, and I whitelist them every time. But like actually blocking off your content because you're using ad block is well, then the fucking ad block is now they're actually gonna start having ads. Did you read about all that shit?
They already do that with the whitelisting crap.
Well, like, did they already do that?
Yeah,
Or
I
like
mean
they
it's practically the same thing. People, I think they pay to get added to the
I
whitelist.
remember, yeah, I remember there was like a $5 subscription that like they started asking for. I don't know, but all I know is like, yeah, that apparently they decided not all ads will be blocked anymore. If they get paid enough money, they'll just let the ads happen.
You're
So
talking about
obviously,
AdBlock, the
the ad
company.
block, the
Yeah,
brand, yeah.
uBlock Origin is the best
Well, see,
ad
yeah, that's the
blocker.
thing. Is like there's other ad block things. I don't really understand why they. I don't know. We'll see if that works. I guess ad block realized that they got to a mainstream popularity to the point where like people are going to use them no matter what they do. So they might
Except
as well just get money.
I don't buy that. I don't think that's true. I don't think
We
people
have
are
ad
into
block on
the
our
AdBlock
computers at
brand.
work, and I was like, wow, they actually put ad block on these computers. These people who don't know anything about computers. I don't know. I guess
I think that the service is what makes people use AdBlock, not I don't think people. There's some recognition. People know what you mean when you say ad block,
yeah.
and if you say
I
you
think
block, it's not so clear, really.
I think the
But
brand matters, and people are going to Google ad block. You know,
that's true.
and it'll be the first result, and it'll be the one they download. I
Yeah,
think that
you know what? That's
I
true.
think they might. I hate to say it because it's awful, but I think it might have been a good business decision for AdBlock to just say like, fuck it, we've reached the amount of popularity where we can lose this many of our user base and still make money on the remaining people who don't care or don't realize what we're doing, and that'll be that. I think that'll work. It maybe at least in the short term, like
Such
maybe
a
it'll last a few years and then they'll close their doors.
such a
They'll have made money
weird
in the meantime.
reversal. Of course, it
It's
seems like.
crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a 180.
it is the
It's really
opposite
iconic.
of
Yeah,
the original purpose at that point to serve you more ads.
yeah.
Now,
Well,
to be fair, that's serving you more than zero from what they initially blocked, but still, they're increasing the number of ads in your life
yeah.
with these updates.
I was going to try to transition into this, but then I couldn't think of a good way to do it, so I'll just say it. I
Okay,
watched a CS:GO tournament over the weekend that I forgot to
which
mention.
one?
It was ESL One New York. Um, and the reason I watched it is because I've kind of been following the main North American team. The best North American team is Team Liquid, and they are actually kind of good now, and they've gotten really close to winning the last few tournaments. And so like I've been tuning in just to follow them and cheer for them, and like it's made it way more fun to have a team that you actually care about, like that you really want to win. They didn't win, But it was
Oh,
interesting to watch. They really fucked it up because Sunday night it was midnight in New York and they hadn't even started their last match. Like the stadium was like emptying out because it was so late at night. I don't know what happened, but I
just
remember like
got
I tuned
hopelessly
in.
delayed.
I kind of tuned in because I saw it was live still, and I was like, "What's going on there?" And then I saw that it was still just going on, and it was like 11:30 last night at my time, which is kind of insane. But yeah, I still like watching CS:GO. That's
Now,
actually an enjoyable esport.
you've been following it more than I have. I don't know how much that is, but still, you've kept your finger on that
Like
pulse.
when there's a major tournament, I tune in to the big matches.
Who is the presence on the scene right now? Like, who is the big kid on the block, the number one? When I was
One of the
watching, I
things
think
that
it was like Ninjas in Pajamas were kind of fading
yeah,
out, and
yeah.
they were getting pretty hot competition from everyone else.
One of the things that makes it fun to watch at this point is that there's no big number one team that's going to win it every time. Fnatic was that like a year ago, and now they had a bunch of people leave, and they're like a shell of their former self. And then like the people who left made their own team, and they're not doing great, but you would expect some time that they need to get their shit together. But there's Navi, which is a Ukrainian team, and they do really well. Virtus Pro is a Polish team, and I think they're all like older guys, like they've been around for a really long time, and they're the same people that have been there the whole time. They have a lot of fans. Uh, SK Gaming,
Yeah, I've never heard of them. I was just Googling some of this, and I saw them ranked number one on a couple of these
I
websites.
think they won the tournament before New York. They beat Liquid in the finals.
I'd never even heard of them when I was
They're Brazilian.
watching this.
I root against them because they're Brazilian and I'm racist.
Well, there are dirty folk down there with
Yeah,
very mud.
they're
They
mud
speak a
people.
mud language and
Uh,
live in mud holes.
Vote Trump. But yeah, it's cool because all the best teams have their own nationalities and like their own very
Yeah, that
distinct
is cool.
personalities, and there's like stories behind the players that are really interesting, and they've done a really good job of somewhere along the line in the last couple of years, someone realized we need to make personalities out of these players the same way that real sports makes personalities out of their players. Because if they're just a screen name, like it doesn't mean anything to anyone. And so like they do like player profiles and like they go through like their history and how they got to where they are and like they make them human beings. And then there's certain tournaments I've seen like they put their real name above their username. Like in game, they'll have like an overlay that has their real name. That's really neat. And so like they're trying to legitimize it in a way that I think is actually working really well. Like I would put my money on esports right now because I think it's gonna work. I don't know about CS:GO in particular. It seems like it I like it, so there's your bias, but it seems pretty good.
On a kind of
Oh God.
fuck me, on a kind of decentralized level, I think streaming has also done a lot to humanize esports players,
Definitely.
where they
Hiko
each
is
individually have huge audiences that tune in
yeah.
to watch them stream and open crates and
Like Liquid has like a leader in Hiko, which is one of the guys who plays, and he apparently has this stream. I've never really watched it, but he has a stream that he does that like he has really, really, really dedicated fans, and like his mom and sister moderate the stream chat, and like people chat with them and stuff, and
that's
like
cool.
it's just cool to have like that level of interactivity with someone like who you can't do that with Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant.
Why not?
Um,
Just
but no,
pop
I
into
mean,
Shaq's Twitch stream.
yeah, but it is really neat. I like that a lot, and I think esports like I just think a lot of it has a lot more mainstream appeal than I think people realize. Where like the ability to go into the game and choose your viewpoint is is huge. Like being able to
Yeah.
just be your own cameraman. Um, games need to support that more, and like there's so many neat things you can do with that. And they're like Valve's done a pretty good job with their thing, and I think Dota has a really good spectator thing too. But like there's a lot of like you could implement replays and stuff that you could do on your own, and like that would be really really neat. But and the fact that like esports provides something that real sports can't, which is like the element of I think the best word for it is stealth, but I don't think it always necessarily applies in the way
Stealth.
I'm talking about. Like in CS:GO, it directly applies because you can be stealthy in that game and like sneak around players. But what I mean is like in most games that are played on a competitive level, you don't know what the enemy's doing unless you have your eyes on them, and you can't always do that. Like they're in a different part of the map, or like when it's StarCraft 2, you can't see through the fog of war, and it's an integral part of the game. And I think that's something that doesn't exist in real sports where everyone's on the same playing field, literally, and it's all visible. And the only thing that like the only I guess what you would call the meta game in a real sport is the strategies, the plays, that kind of thing. While in esports, it's like you can see someone sneaking up behind someone, and that element of dramatic irony, like real life dramatic irony of like, oh shit, he's behind you, is super intense. And it's also there's the satisfaction of like especially in Counter Strike when the kills start popping off and you can hear the audience reacting to each one. Like that's super, like that's awesome, and you don't get that in other sports. It's really cool. I actually enjoy watching Counter Strike a lot.
That is true. Smash doesn't have the stealth element because you're both on the same screen.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean it's this not about are esports real sports, but making comparisons to real sports is fun and
and
interesting
inevitable,
because
and you have
yeah,
to.
like Smash for example, it like CS:GO or high APM games like StarCraft 2, they have still a high execution barrier that a real
Yeah,
sport would, but it's a very different kind of execution barrier, obviously more fingers, dexterity, that kind of thing. But past the execution, it's almost like quick decision making skill has more direct
absolutely.
impact on the
Well,
course
think
of,
about
of
I
an
mean think about
esport versus a
Dota.
sport.
MOBAs are I don't know exactly how many like APMs they do, but I think it's pretty low in a MOBA where like you're only controlling one character. You've only got 4 or 5 abilities. And so it's almost all about strategizing with your team and making those decisions and making them quickly and acting on them in a way that makes sense instead of being skillful. And so like the barrier to entry isn't your skill, it's your knowledge and your ability to adapt and work with others. And that's really, really fascinating. Uh, yeah, totally. Counter Strike is way more about individual skill than those other games, but it still has a level of strategy that's pretty intense.
I
Especially when it
always
starts.
liked. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go on.
I always liked the kind of soft roles that exist in CS:GO, where it's not like I'm playing the tank this game. I'm the tank and you're the carry or the sniper or whatever. I guess there's snipers in CS:GO. That's a bad
Well,
example,
there
but
are,
there's
but
no the medic class. You kind of soft switch roles just on which guns you're using and whether you're gonna buy or not, and
yeah,
what grenades you
or just
choose to
what
buy.
situation you're in.
Yeah,
Sometimes you'll be the
what
one
you're
that's
better
calling
at.
someone out or something like where it's like I'm just in a position where I can bait this guy to me and get my teammate to kill him from another angle, and that's totally adaptive on the fly, thinking. And like um, one of the highlights from this last tournament was someone threw their sniper rifle. They had an AWP, and they were at the B site of Dust 2, where you can go up through the little hole
Yeah.
in the wall. And they had just planted on the other side of the hole, and he had his AWP. He threw it over the wall and then popped up through the hole and shot the guy in the head. The guy, when the gun came over the wall, just assumed it was a flashbang and turned around.
That's
And so he
good.
shot him as he came through, and it was just like, fuck, that was amazing. And
That's
like
smart.
shit like that happens, and it's just so cool because like you're just tricking the other player, and like I don't know, that's just it's really neat. And then this happens every tournament where someone sneaks around behind and they've got someone in their crosshairs, but they haven't shot yet because they're waiting for the perfect moment, and the audience is going ah, like freaking out, and that's it's really neat when that happens. And I think it's even neat when like sometimes for like the first minute and a half nobody will even fire their gun, like they're just moving around
Uh
the
huh.
map
Yep.
slowly, and it's like the fucking mind games that are going on are like really really crazy.
It's funny when you
uh
can watch them uh, watch the terrorists start to allocate one way and then
Yeah.
kind of pull back and rotate all the
And,
way
and like
around.
their communications, like they're
Yeah,
trying to figure out what's going on, and then like
before a
the
shot's
counter
fired,
terrorists are
even.
like sending someone back and forth between the bomb sites, like trying to figure out which one to stack. That it's fucking cool. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Not
So
much
that's
else
kind
to
of
say
sick.
about it.
I finished Bakemonogatari. It's an anime. It was cool. But that's about all I have to say about it.
All right. Well,
Um,
I'm 16.71 gigabytes out of
oh, it's
35.7
downloading that fast for you?
done. Yes, I
Yeah,
guess that's
okay.
fast.
Yeah, definitely. It took me like all day. I have no
Uh,
idea why, but it was ages. Anyway, that was Push to Shout. We'll probably play Halo 5, maybe not tonight. If not tonight, then tomorrow or
yeah.
something. Because it's with that, I think we will meet you guys. Oh wait! One more thing. I purchased a microphone. So this one, it's the Blue Yeti. It's good, but lately it's kind of been busting. I don't know how to describe the way it's screwing up, but sometimes my mic will cut out for a second and it'll pop back on, and then I'm black eye. It'll it'll just sound like super low, like and drawn out.
I don't support his words and deeds. Those are not my own. His
Hey,
views are his own. They don't represent
when
Push to
I
Shout.
become black, in those moments where I become black, I am very proud. I feel very powerful.
All right.
Anyway, so I spent maybe too much money on a new microphone, and that's showing up tomorrow. So I'm excited to try that out, and I figure it also might be a sort of buyer's remorse kind of thing, where it'll motivate me to make a video. That was actually how I started making videos, is I bought this thing and then just wanted to mess around with it. So we'll see.
I'm planning on making another year in review video, but I'm kind of.
I want to
it.
do
I haven't
something
edited it
before
in a
that.
long
I don't want to do just another one of those.
Yeah.
I want to do a fun one, quick one.
I always like tell myself like, God, it's time to make another video, and then I just don't do it. I upload
It's
something
hard,
stupid.
man. It's hard. It's so
Yeah.
hard to find the time to do that. Because it used to be, I could just take a whole day and say, I'm going to
Yep.
make a video today. I would get out of like class or something at 4 p.m. and I've got nothing to do tonight. I can wake up at like noon tomorrow if I want. I could just make a video and publish it tonight. Oh man. What happened? Life is hell. Life is hell, and you are dragged me into the deepest pit. And welcome, goodbye. Shut.
Yeah, I don't.